What's up everybody? Today in this video I'm going to be showing you how to stabilize your camera on the Flycam Redking. Now if you saw my last video, I did a long-term review on the Flycam Redking, so go check that out if you're trying to make a decision on whether or not to buy the Flycam Redking. But today is just going to be all about how to balance the Flycam Redking. So without further ado, I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to show you exactly how I balance this with my camera. All right, so today I'm going to be balancing my Pocket 6K rig on the Flycam Redking. And since I use this camera so much, this is already pretty balanced, so I'm gonna mess it up real quick and then I'll show you how to balance it. Okay, so I got the Blackmagic 6K on the Flycam Redking. Now, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna hold it by the handle. I'm gonna let go with my other hand and I'm gonna see what it does. All right, you gotta be careful here. It's on there good, it's clamped on there good. All right, but as you can see, it's trying to flip completely over. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjust the gimbal on the shaft up, and I'm gonna adjust it up a ways. I'm gonna adjust it all the way up to the top mark and just see what that does. And see if we're still, if we have a negative drop time or a positive drop time. And yeah, it's still totally wanting to flip over. So the next thing we can do, you can add more weights to the bottom. I happen to know that, that this is good if I extend this out some. So that's what I'm gonna do now. But you're gonna have to figure out about how many weights you need. For the Pocket 6K, I have 4 weights on each side, and that's enough. When I'm balancing it with my EOS R, usually I only need like 2 weights on each side. So that might give you an idea of where to start, but you're gonna have to figure that out on your own. All right, so I'm gonna extend this out some, maybe about right there. I'm gonna try that. Now keep in mind, I use this for wedding videography. That's why I'm balancing this without a table or anything, because when I'm out filming weddings, this is how I have to balance it. I don't have anything really with me. I have to keep it pretty simple. So this is just how I balance it on the fly, and this is how I use it for my needs as a wedding videographer. So keep that in mind. I don't make commercials, I don't work on film sets, I do wedding videography. So your needs might be different than mine. This is how I use it for my needs. Okay, so we've extended it out a little bit further, and let's see. All right, so it is actually not flipping over now. That's good, we're on a good track. But it's still leaning way forward, and also, let's see, it's leaning forward and to my left, okay? So this is where you're gonna use these balancing knobs that are on the side of the head of the gimbal. So I know it's leaning way forward right now. So to compensate for that, I'm gonna use this forward and back balancing knob. I'm going to turn it counterclockwise to bring it back. Let's try maybe 10 turns of that because it's really leaning forward right now. Still leaning forward, but mainly also to the side. Okay, I'm gonna try using my left to right balancing knob to push it to my right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna try about 8 turns. We'll see what happens there. Okay, that seems to have it pretty good on the side to side. Now it's still leaning forward, so I'm gonna adjust it back a few more turns. All right, it's getting better, but I'm gonna check my drop time again. Okay, so let's see. All right. Okay, that is way too fast of a drop time. What I want is to be able to hold it horizontally and let go of it, and it take a solid 2 seconds, maybe even 3, depending on the situation, for it to get from horizontal to vertical. All right, and right now, it took maybe like half a second. So I'm gonna move my gimbal back down some. Move that down. I'm gonna move that to about 2 solid notches down from the 20 mark to the 18 mark. Let's see what that does. Let's see. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Okay, that is about right. Okay, you do not want that drop time too fast. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Yeah, that's about good right there. I'm pretty happy with that. So now that I have that drop time kind of dialed in a little bit more, I'm gonna go back, and now I'm gonna check my forward to back and side to side again, because that's probably off now that the drop time is different. Okay, still leaning forward. We're gonna bring it back 1, 2, 3, see what happens. Okay, we're leaning back into my left a little bit, so I'm gonna bring it right, 1, 2, and forward 1. See what that does. I'm trying to get it nice and straight and then let go very lightly. Okay, now we're leaning to the right. Bring it back to the left 1 turn. That's close. Just a little bit. All right, that's close. That is so close. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. So this whole process right here is something you don't want to rush. And it's gonna take longer at first to get it right. And then when you take your camera off, you use it for something else, you put it back on, it might be a little bit different. So always check by holding it upright and then letting go of it and just seeing what it does to check if you're still balanced, right? You should be able to kind of pull it back and forth and side to side, and it should stay basically straight up and down. Now the reason your drop time needs to be about 2 seconds or so, you really don't want the bottom to be much heavier than the top, because then when you move from side to side, that bottom is gonna try to swing out from under you, right? So you want it barely lighter on the top than the bottom. And the big reason you want it balanced really well from forward to back and side to side is that when you're walking along, you barely wanna be doing anything to the Steadicam. You really just wanna be barely touching it and controlling it, right? So if it's trying to go to the side like this, and you're having to overcompensate and control it, you're gonna get shaky footage. You really want this thing to do its own thing, and you just barely control it, right? You just wanna barely touch that thing. Oh man, I'm out of breath. It's hot out here. I'm still wearing a jacket, but I have my mic on the jacket, so I don't wanna take it off. So one thing I forgot to mention in the beginning of this video, I just realized I balanced the whole thing with my lens cap on. You don't wanna do that, okay? You wanna take your lens cap off, you wanna make sure you got your battery and your memory card and all that in there, because all of that affects the weight. So be sure to do all that beforehand, unlike I did here. Another thing is that when I'm balanced, all right, so I should be balanced at about 24 millimeters right now on this Sigma 24-70. I'm balanced, let me see here. Gotta rebalance it a little bit. All right, so I'm set up right now for the Sigma 24-70 at 24 millimeters, but say I want to zoom into 70, which by the way, Steadicamming at 70 millimeters on an APS-C or a Super 35 sensor is like super challenging. So usually I only go into like 50 when I'm Steadicamming with the 24-70. But let's say I do want to Steadicam at 70 millimeters and I'm just really feeling confident in myself that I can do a good job. And I let go of this thing, it's leaning forward a lot. So because that's a pretty big lens on there. So you're gonna have to adjust your camera back. I wanna say it's about 10 for this. Yeah, wow, that's perfect. Because I've used this lens quite a bit, so I kind of have the feel for it. But you kind of have to figure out like how many turns it takes you for your specific lens to change focal lengths back and forth. And you really should only have to adjust the forward and back adjustment knob for that. One other thing to keep in mind is wind. Wind also does affect the Flycam. With a bigger camera like this, probably not as much, but if you're running a lightweight setup and you have like a shotgun mic on top with like a dead cat on there, that dead cat is just gonna act like a sail. It's gonna catch your camera and it's gonna kind of throw it off balance some. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind. That's why sometimes I'll not use the shotgun mic if it's windy, but it depends on if I need audio or not. So it's just something else you have to keep in mind, but it's not a huge deal. I'm gonna readjust my shot a little bit. I'm gonna go a little further away from the camera And I really hope I'm still in focus to show you how to walk with this bad boy. And I have no idea to know if I'm still in focus or not. We'll find out later. So once you have your Steadicam balanced well and it's all good to go, the way you wanna walk, you wanna carry all the weight of the Steadicam by the handle, and you wanna use your offhand to control the gimbal. Now, when I'm using my offhand to control the gimbal, I like to put one finger on top of the gimbal. This is just my personal preference. I like to put one finger on top of the gimbal, the rest of them underneath, and my thumb right behind the gimbal to control it. And I'm not holding on to it, I'm just barely touching it. And so when I want it to go that way, I just barely touch it to turn the camera that way. And when I want to move it up or down, I just barely apply some pressure underneath here to move it up, or vice versa, to move it down. I barely apply some pressure to the top with that front finger. So you just want to barely control it, right? And it takes practice. The way you want to walk with this thing, when you're actually walking, they call it a ninja walk. So you want to walk, you want to bend your knees, you want to keep your back straight. You basically want to walk like you're carrying a really hot cup of coffee and you don't want it to spill. And it's really important to bend your knees and walk like this because that will absorb your footsteps. If you just walk along like this, your camera's going to be hopping up and down, and you don't want that. So get good at ninja walking and get out and practice this and get really good at walking in that ninja walk style. Now, I want to address something that's kind of important that nobody really told me when I started using a Steadicam, that I wish somebody had told me. And that is about practicing and letting your muscles get used to it. So here's the thing. This camera weighs about 12 pounds. And even when I started out and I was using my Canon Rebel SL2 with a kit lens on here, even that for me, a skinny dude, that was a lot of weight, and my arm would really feel like it was gonna fall off after a certain amount of time. So when I upgraded to the Pocket 6K and I started using this, it was like, this is gonna be impossible to carry this for a wedding day. And so I got the Flycam vest, the Steadicam vest. Now, I don't use the Flycam vest anymore because it's really inconvenient to use on the wedding day. It would just be really inconvenient to have that thing on all day for like 8 hours during a wedding day. But the cool thing is, I've gotten used to carrying this amount of weight, and it didn't actually take super long. For context, I am a skinny dude. I weigh less than 140 pounds. So if I can get used to carrying a camera like this for 6, 8, 10-hour wedding days, so can you. It's really not as hard as you would think. The key is you need to get out and practice every day. And the reason for that is you're gonna allow the muscle groups that this Steadicam demands to get used to it. If you don't use it and then you go to film a wedding and you haven't used it in like a month, then your arm's gonna feel like it's gonna fall off, right? But seriously, get outside like every day if you wanna get good at Steadicamming and cut that learning curve in half. Get outside every day. Just get your camera. You don't even have to record if you don't want to. Now you can record and compare footage. That's a good idea, but you don't have to every day, right? Just take your camera out there and practice balancing it, and then practice walking with it. Practice ninja walking, and that's gonna help you get good at the Steadicam, but it's also gonna allow your muscles to get used to using the Steadicam. So get out every day, 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever works for you. But seriously, the Steadicam uses a unique group of muscles in your shoulder and even in your back, and you need to let those muscles get used to carrying this much weight in this specific way, because you're carrying it out in front of you. Your back is compensating because it's trying to keep you upright. You're using a lot of muscles inside your shoulder, and it can get very, very painful if you have to really push yourself during a wedding day and you haven't practiced working up to that. There's a lot of birds out there. I'm not trying to tell you this to scare you. I'm just trying to tell you that there is work that is involved with learning how to use the Steadicam, and you're probably not gonna get the most stable footage right out of the box using this thing. But it's worth it, and you will get better, and you will improve, and then you will get really smooth footage. So stick with it. If your arm's hurting, or if you're not good at it, you're getting shaky footage, stick with it. Practice, 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 and you will get better. Your muscles will get used to it, and you'll be getting really smooth results with this thing in no time. I'm tired now. Okay, there you have it. That is how to balance your camera on the Flycam Redking. I hope you found some good value in this video, and I hope that answered all your questions that you may have had when you came to this video to try to learn how to use this thing. I will be leaving a link to the Flycam Redking in the description if you want to pick one up. That is an affiliate link, so I make an extra commission at no extra cost to you. So if you use that link, thank you, because you're supporting my channel and you're making these videos worth making and worth my time. So with that said, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.